Kakadosh Boker Or, Daf Yomi Masechet Sanhedrin Daf Kuf Amud Aleph 105a1. We were just speaking about right now that the Dorashei Shimot, they used to come and say that everybody has a Chilek Olam Ba, even Menashe, except for Bilam Rasha. Because it said in the Pasuk, Ligi Level Menashe, Ve'Efraim Ma'oz Roshi, Yudah Mechokim, Uav Tzir Rachzi, Aledom Ashlich Na'ali, Alai Peleshet Titruai, Li Gilad, Veze, right, is Achav. Right, Shenafal Baramo Gilad. Menashe is Menashe. Right, Ephraim Ma'oz Roshi is Yerovam, the Katim Ephraim, that he came from Ephraim. Yudah Mechokim is Achitofel, right, that he comes from Yudah. Right, Moav Sid Rachzi is Gechazi, that he was Laka Liske Rechitza, that he actually got destroyed because of Rechitza, which is because of obviously the Tzarat. Ale Dom Ashlich Na'ali, right, is Doeg Adomi, right, because he comes and he says that he's going to be closed out from Gan Eden. Alai Peleshet Itruai is Malachei Asharet, he said, Ribono Shel Olam, Im Yavo David Sharag et Plishti ve'orish banecha Gat, right, which is the city of Plishtim, Mata al Selo, what are you going to do to him? Elmaleh, he told them, I'm going to make them friends with each other. Fine. Now he comes and he says this. Madua shoveva ha'am hazeh Yerushalayim neshuva nitzachat. He comes and he says, why is it exactly, right, that they're going to come, and this is talking about now during the Beit Rishon, that they don't have Olam Haba. This is talking about the three kings. So now the Gemara is going to speak about the Rishut that they had, that they didn't even accept the Tochacha from the Nevi'im to be Chozer B'Tshuva. So Amar Rav says, Teshuvah nitzachat teshiva Knesset Yisrael Navi. It was a tshuva, it was a very good answer that Knesset Yisrael gave to the Navi. Amar lahem Navi Yisrael, he said the Navi to Israel, Chizru b'tshuva, right, do teshuvah, right? He says, Avotechem shechatu hechanem. Says, where's your fathers that they sinned? They're already dead, they died. Amrulo, they told him, Uneviyachem shelo chatu hechanem. Where's the Nevi'im, right, that what? That they didn't sin. Where are they? They also died. Shneimar avotechem ayehem. V'neviim alulam yichyu. Says what? The Nevi'im are always the ones going to live. That means even the Nevi'im that they didn't sin, they also passed away. So they said chazru ve'odu. Right? They agreed. And they were chazru b'tshuva. Shneimar ach devarai v'chukaya shetziviti et avadai Nevi'im. Right? That they came and they got their fathers, which means that they actually did teshuvah, right? Just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted them to do. Shemuel says, what is the teshuvah nitzachat exactly? There were 10 people that came in front of the Navi. Amar la, and he told them, Chizru b'tshuva. Amrulo, they told him, Evet shemecharor rabo, Isha shegirsha ba'ala, klum yesh lezeh al zeh klum. Unless if you have an Eved, right, that the master came and he sold him. Or you have a woman, but the husband divorced her, right? Is there anything onto them? Which means, since HaKadosh Baruch Hu sold us to Nebuchadnezzar, or he divorced us, so therefore, he can't start telling us now, listen to him. The husband comes and he goes, now he's going to tell him, now listen to me. Well, listen to me. You got rid of me. That's it. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu to the Navi, Lech amor and go tell them, Eze sefer krituti mechem, asher shilachti ami minoshai. Right? He says, asher macharti etchem lo, hem bavonotechem nimkartem, ufishechem, right? Shilchai machem. Thank you. So he comes and he says like this. He says, right, the entire concept that we mentioned until now, he says, right, where's the sever kritut? Means, where did you see exactly that I was? It wasn't a mechida, right? At the end of the day, it's like a paying back a loan, right? I didn't come, and it wasn't like that I came and I divorced you. Because you're right, if a husband divorces a wife, he has no ta'ana on her afterwards. He can't divorce her and then afterwards say, by the way, you have to do A, you have to do B, you have to... No. You divorce. Come on, no. Khalas, nigmar sipur. He says, no, I didn't do that. I went and I gave them over to you in order that you should come and you should do teshuvah, but I didn't divorce you. Ve'hainu, right? Damar Shakish, and that's what the Shakish says. My dichtiv, what does it mean in the pasuk? David avdi, Nebuchadnezzar avdi. What does that mean? Why is the Kadosh Baruch Hu calling Nebuchadnezzar Rasha avdi? Imagine he's calling Nebuchadnezzar Rasha my servant. Yeah, why is he calling him my servant? Right? So he comes and he says like this. He says, yeah, galui b'yadua lifnei mi shamar v'ya olam. It's galui b'yadua, right, in front of the one that created the world. Shatidin Yisrael lomar kach, that Yisrael will come, right, and they will say this. What does that mean, right? Which means that they're going to come and they're going to say, right, that we were sold. And that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu came. It was Magdim Ukro Avdo. HaKadosh Baruch Hu called Nebuchadnezzar his Eved in order that he should get out of this problem, in order that there shouldn't be such a thing. right? So he says, "Ve'eved shekana nechasim, eved lemi v'nechasim lemi." He says, when you have an eved that he acquires something, what do you want? There's nothing there. Yeah? What does that mean? Yeah? Everything belongs to the master. So if HaKadosh Baruch Hu is purposely coming and he's calling him an eved, it's obviously in order that there shouldn't be any problem whatsoever, because again, the eved shekana kana, obviously, whatever the eved was kana, Rabo was kana, and therefore obviously he doesn't have the problem. Vaola, huh? והעולה על רוחכם היו לא תהיה, אשר אתם אומרים, נהיה גויים כמשפחות הרצו לשרת עץ ואבן. חי אני נאום השם אלוקים. אם לא ביד חזקה ובזרוע נטויה ומלחמה שפוכה, אמלוך עליכם. What does that mean? Right? One of them was a teshuvah nitzachat, according to Shemuel, was a keneged the ta'ana that kilu you were sold. Right? And therefore, if we're sold, you can't tell us anything. If you come and you sell your slave, you can afterwards come and tell your slave, listen, you have to do A, you have to do B. You sold him. Gamarno. He says, Amar Rav Nachman, says Rav Nachman, Kol ki hay ritcha lirtach rachmana alan v'lifrokan. Halvai that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should get angry at us, and he should actually mamash be molech alenu, he should be the king on us. Bechema, that he should redeem us, in order that we should be forced to come and to be under his ruling. Right? So the Gemara says, V'isiru mishpat Elohav yorenu. Amar Rav Chana Amar Len Nevi Yisrael, right? Chizru b'tshuva, do teshuvah. Amrulo, they told him, why? So again, here we keep on telling you different excuses. One excuse was what they said before. That listen, he has no jurisdiction over us anymore. He sold it, he got rid of us. So he said, no, he didn't get rid of us. Why? Because we already brought down that Nebuchadnezzar was also the Eved. And once he's the Eved, so therefore I gave them to my Eved, that's it. So I didn't get rid of you. But now he's saying, yeah, you know why we can't do Teshuvah? Because of the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara is very, very strong. And since the Yetzer Hara is very, very strong, yeah, so he says we can't do teshuvah. Amar lahem yasiru yitzrechem. Fine. No, force him. Go against Yetzer Hara. Go against the Yetzer Hara. Amrulo, they told him, Elohav yorenu. The Hashem that was the one, right, that created the Yetzer Hara, he's the one that could do that. Not us. Yetzer Hara is too strong for us. Yeah? So he says, right? So therefore, that was what? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that he was one that created this. So he says over here, right? It's mashma that their ta'ana was that they don't have the strength to go against the Yetzer Hara. It's only Hashem. That's not really true, because obviously we know that the opposite, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the human being, and therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu helps us if we want to go against the Yetzer Hara, right? So therefore, it's not really 100%, but this was their ta'ana. They came and they gave her an excuse. Listen, we can't do it. Well, the Yetzer Hara is too strong. Not really 100% correct, because remember, the Yetzer Hara, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us the power to go against the Yetzer Hara. Okay? Fine. We spoke about now the three kings. If you remember, we kept on going through, there were many other kings, we kept on giving answers. Now we're going through the Arba Idiotos. Right? There are four simple people that did not get. Simple people just means not that simple that they're just simple. It just means that they're not kings. Okay? Who are the Arba Idiotot? The Arba Idiotot, Bilam. Bilam Rasha. Yeah, Bilam. He was obviously a prophet. Yeah. Doeg Adomi. Right, we spoke about Doeg Adomi already a few times. Achitofel, right? Another one, the advisor of David HaMelech. And Gehazi. Gehazi was the student of Elisha Navi. Yeah, but remember, even if Elisha was the biggest Navi, right? He actually did even more miracles than Eliyahu Navi, right? But still, many times the surrounding people, right? You know, sometimes you have like the big tzaddikim, and then you have the, I don't know how you call them, you know, the people that are the shamashim. Sometimes they're not the biggest tzaddikim. They're very, very far away from it. Okay. Ma? Shema. Yes, 100%. Right? He gave a mnemonic if you want to remember it. Right? The mnemonic is Aleph Bet Gimel Daled. Achitofel Bil'am Gechazi Doeg. Right? That was the Aleph Bet Gimel Daled. Yeah? Fine. So, Bil'am, number one. Bil'am. Bil'am, it says Belo Am. What does it mean Belo Am? He didn't have a nation. Did you realize Bilam was a freelancer? Freelancer. He wasn't in charge of anything. Yeah, he was anything and everything. Tavarach had another explanation. Bilam, Shebila'am. He was Mevalbel Da'am. Why? Because when he came and he gave them the etzah in order to do the Avirah, right? Remember, with the Avirah Varayot, a lot of people, Arbe Chalalim Ipilu. Right? They threw down a lot of people. So he was mevalbel da'am, right? So that's exactly what happened. Ben beor. So that's Bilam. So two explanations Bilam. Belo am or Bila'am, right? Another explanation. Ben beor. What is Ben beor? Sheba al be'ir, right? He came on his be'ir. Be'ir is the be'ema, right? V'shalachet be'ira, right? It's a be'ema. He had relations with his animal, right? Fine. So now says the Gemara, Tana, hu beor, hu kushan rishatayim. Do you know Beor, which is the father of Bilam, is Kushan Rishatayim. He's the king of Aram Naharaim, right? That he was Mishtabed Israel after the death of Yoshua, right? Vehu Larvan Arami, and he is Lavan Harami, right? That's the Targum Yonatan actually. The Targum Yonatan Midrash Tanchuma says Bilam is Lavan Arami, right? So, right, which says that it's Bilam himself, not the father. Meaning, if you actually look in the Yonatan Uziel, he brings this down that really Bilam Rasha was Lavan. And that's why we say Lavan Bikesh La'akor et Hakol. He wanted to get rid of everything because he wanted to destroy Am Yisrael, right? So it says here it's mashma that it's talking about the father, right? But really, Be'emet, according to some shitot, it's talking about the actual Bilam himself. So he says, right? What does that mean? He says Be'or, Shebal Be'ir. Which one? Lavan is not Jewish. No, Lavan is not Jewish. Yeah, he says Be'or, right? Be'or is Sheba al Be'ir. He had relations with his animal. He was called Kushan Rishatayim Davat Shter Rishayot B'Yisrael. He did two Maaser Reshas in Israel, one during the days of Yaakov Avinu, and one during the days of Shefot HaShofatim. Because after Yoshua passed away. Uma Shemo, so what's his name? Lavan Harami Shemo. His name is Lavan Harami. Okay, fine. Which one? He subjugated Israel during the times of Yoshua, after the death of Yoshua. Ketiv, it's written. Yeah. We were under their ruling. Ketiv, it's written, Bilam ben Beor. What does it mean now, Bilam ben Beor? Uchtiv beno Beor. So how does that work? It's mashma that Beor was the father. But then it says, Bilam beno Beor. It's mashma that Beor was the ben Bilam. Right? But it's beno Beor. His son is Beor, not that the father is Beor. So Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, Rabbi Yochanan, Aviv beno hu lo beneviut. The father of Bilam was his son with Neviut, which means Bilam was much greater than his father in Nevuah. Okay, that's why it says Ben Beor, Beno Beor. Right? But really, Be'emet, it was the father. Bilam hu de lo ati lalmadate. So it's mashma, only Bilam didn't go to Ulam Haba. Ha-charine, but anybody else, it's mashma that they did go. Right? Meaning any other goy, he went. So who's our Mishnah then? So it's Rabbi Yoshua. The time was learned in the Braita. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Yashuvu Rishaim Lishola Kol Goyim Shechei Elohim. Right? Yashuvu Rishaim Lishola is Poshei Yisrael. So they're going to go to Sheola. Sheola is what? It's Geinam. Right? Kol Goyim Shechei Elohim. All the Goyim which they forget God. These are over the Kochavim. Which means that all the Goyim, they're going to go down to Sheol, just like Poshei Yisrael. That they don't go to Olam Haba. These are the words of Rabbi Eliezer. Amar lo Rabbi Yoshua says Rabbi Yoshua, V'chi ne'emar kechol Goyim. Does it say all the Goyim? Right? Then you're right. So it's mashma that the goyim which are brought down in the end of the pasuk, which are the reshaim. Who are the yeshuvu reshaim lishula? So he says, kol goyim shechei olam. These people, meaning the beginning part of the pasuk is explaining the last part of the pasuk. Who are the people that go to the sheola, to the geinam? Kol goyim shechei olam. But goyim tzadikim, they get olam haba. Yeah, the goyim tzadikim, they get olam haba. Right? You understood why we came down to this. Because the entire concept was that if we're not going to come, so then what's the chidush that Bilam is not going to get olam haba? Elama, really, the goyim do get olam haba. The tzadikim goyim, they do get, but Bilam does not, because obviously what he did. Ve'af, that's what we just said. Yeah, ve'af oto rasha, and even that rasha Bilam natan siman be'atzmu. He gave us siman in himself to know if he gets olam haba or not. Amar, he said, tamot nafshi mot yesharim uti achariti kamohu. What does that mean? If he's going to die like the tzaddikim, which means his own death and he won't be killed, so then he's going to be like the Jews. And if not, which means that somebody's going to kill him, he's going to go to his nation, he's going to be like the Reshaim. So, and that's exactly what happened. Remember that who killed Bilam ben Beor? Pinchas. Pinchas. Yeah? Pinchas. So now, once we're already talking about Bilam, let's speak a little bit about him. So it says, "Vayilchu ziknei Moav v'ziknei Midian." So they came to ziknei Moav v'ziknei Midian. Tana, we learned to the Braita, Midian and Moav lo yalahem shalom me'olam. Do you know Midian and Moav? They never had shalom. Remember, they were cousins, right? They never had shalom. They were always fighting with each other, right? But because of Israel, they made peace. Mashal shnei klavim shayu be'eder. Right? It's mashal to the two different dogs that were in the eder of the tzon. Vayu tzeuvin, and they were angry at each other. Bazev alei echad. Right? When the Zev came on one of them, Mar echad im eni ozro hayom oregotu machar ba'alai. So all of a sudden the Zev came and started attacking one of the dogs. Now the dogs, be'emet, they hated each other. But the only thing is, one dog said to himself, 1 second, he's now attacking the other dog. If I'm going to keep quiet, so what's going to happen is, today he kills him, tomorrow he's going to come and he's going to kill me. 100%. So he says, so what happened? So both of them together came and they killed the Zev. Rav Papa says, I know that's what people say. Karkushta v'shunra avdu ilula mitarta devish gada. The chulda and the chatul, they both of them made a mishteh. They made a, how did the weasel and the cat, they both made a mishteh, right, of from the chelev, right, al mishera mazalo, which means that even though bemet derech they hate each other, but all of a sudden they come together. Why do they come together? In order to fight the common enemy, as they say. V'yeshevu sareh Moav im Bilam. So what happened is that he stayed there for the night, right? Now we ask, so 1 second. It says v'yeshevu sareh Moav im Bilam. Now if they both made peace in order to go against the Jews, so where did the sareh Midian go? Lechan Azul. So Kevan de Marlu, once he said, once he said, stay here the night, I'm going to answer you. Amru, they went and they answered, right? He says, Klum yesh av shesoned beno, right? Sareh Midian, they were smart. They come and they say, 1 second, what did Bilam just answer us? Bilam just answered us that wait, and I'm going to ask permission to curse, and then I'm going to come back to you. They went and they said, Iowa, when was the last time you saw a father that wanted to curse the children? So therefore, they just left. So they left. Sareh Midian left. Fine. Amar Rav Nachman, says Rav Nachman, chutzpah afilu klape shemaya mehani. You see from here that even chutzpah helps against HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why? Because sometimes even when a person, why? We learn from Bilam. Mi'ikar haktiv was at the beginning, it was written, lo telech imahem. Hashem told Bilam, don't go with them. Ulvasof at the end though, after he had the chutzpah of asking again and again, tivkum lechetam, he says, go with them. So you see from here, the chutzpah sometimes goes against HaKadosh Baruch Hu, means that sometimes when a person is a chutzpan, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will already just say, you know what, just do it. Sometimes the person has chutzpah. They're doing other things instead of learning. The things that, sometimes they have chutzpah. So what happens is HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and sometimes they'll get away with it. Why? It's not that the Hashem really wants, but Hashem just says, go. So Amar Shashat says Shashat, chutzpah malchuta belatagahi. Chutzpah is a malchut beli keter. What does that mean? Right? It's like a malchut, right? But you just need the crown. There's no crown. But that's what chutzpah is. It says in a pasuk, "Vanochi hayom rach umashuach melech, v'anashim ele bnei tzuya kashim mimeni." Here we're talking about that David came and he told Yoav and Avishai ben Tzuya, right? I'm going to be very rach umashuach lemelech, but they're harder than me. What does that mean? Because they're chutzpanim, right? So David HaMelech was afraid of them. Now, 1 second. Ribono shel olam. But he's the king. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, right, there's no one greater in Sadat, but at the end of the day, even though he's the king, this chutzpah is very, very powerful. But they don't have the crown. But chutzpah is very powerful. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, Bilam chiger b'raglo achat haya. Do you know that Bilam was lame? He was handicapped in one of his legs. Shneimar v'elech shefi. Shefi is mlashon shaf, which means it's like moving from its place. So he says, so he was solea. Shimshon yishte raglav. Shimshon was chiger in both of his legs. Shneimar shefifon ale orach hanoshechi kevesus. So imagine, he was chiger in shte raglav and still look what he was able to do. Right? So he comes and he says now, right, as follows. He says, Bilam suma be'echa me'anavaya. Bilam was blind in one of his eyes. Shneimar shetumai. Right? What does it mean shtumai? Which means that he only had one eye open. Right? B'lashon yachid. Kosem ba'amato haya. And he used to use his membrane, his organ, his male organ, right, for ksamim. K'tiva achabaz, it says, nofel uglu enayim. K'tivatam, and it says, v'aman nofel alamita. Right? So therefore, just like over there, he tried to violate her, right? But that's the pshat of nofel over here. So it's a chet with the ever. So to hear when it's saying nofel uglu enayim, it means that he was also doing the magic with his ever. Yeah, itmar, it was stated. Morzutra Amar, Morzutra says, קוסם מאמתו היה. He was a קוסם with his עבד. ומורברי דרבין אמר, שבא לתונו, because he used to have relations with his donkey. דאמר קוסם מאמתו היה, כדאמרן, just like we said beforehand, right? ומן דאמר, but according to man דאמר. Which one? He was, yeah, because he was doing a lot of this ksamim. So he says, and according to the man דאמר, בא לתונו היה, so כתיב אחד, and it's written, שוכב נופל, וכתיב התם בין רגליה, right, between her legs. So the karash rachav nafal. So therefore, there we're talking about by Sisra and Yael. So therefore, since it over there it's talking about nafal, nefila, we're talking about obviously biila. So they say the same thing. Kufei amud bet, yeah, 105b. Yodea da'at elyon. What does it mean that he was yodea da'at elyon? Hashta da be'emto lo avayada. Da'at elyon avayada. So what does that mean? He knew it, that he knows Hashem. Why? He doesn't even know his animal. He's going to know Hashem. The animal comes and starts bashing him up a little bit, one time, two times. He doesn't wake up to see the messages. And now you're going to tell me that he knows Dat Elyon? So my Dat Mento, what does that mean, Dat Mento? The Amri Lei, that Sareh Moav tells Bilam, he says, "My tamalo lachavta susya." They come and say, "Why don't you use a horse? You're using a donkey. Well, use a horse." Amar Lehu, he says, "Shadai lehu birtiva." Says, right? I sent them in the fields. Amrale, so they said, right? He says, what are you talking about? Right? Meaning that the Aton came and said in front of Bilam, Bilam made an excuse. It's like, like instead of coming with, your nice Rolls Royce or I don't know what, he's coming and using some, horse and chariots. So they come and say, what's your thing? So no, I sent them off. I don't have it now. It's in the garage. It's in the, how do you call it? It's in the shop, right? I'm in the mechanics. The Aton comes and he says, what are you talking about? You use me every single day. What are you saying? Right? So he says, Litina be'alma. So he says, okay, yeah, I only use it just to carry some things. So he says, he says, what are you talking about? You think it's only just to carry things? You're riding on me, right? So he says, Akrai be'alma. He says, no, once in a while. He says, all the time. What are you talking about? And not only that, but I also, you do, it's mamash like a marriage. At nighttime, I'm your spouse. It's written, Askeni skanti, nekeva. Askeni skanti לעשות לך כה, וכתיב hatam, and he says, אותי לא סוכנת. סוכנת, this is by the, right, לשון סוכנת, is the kavanah of obviously of something of tashmish to do with the woman. So he comes and he says, so he was having relations with her. Ela ma'ai v'yodea dat elyon. So what does it mean now v'yodea dat elyon? Right? So he comes and he says, Shaya yodea lechaven ota sha'a she'akadosh baruch hu koetz. But this is a Gemara Berachot also. That Bilam HaRasha knew the exact moment where Akadosh Baruch Hu is going to get angry. So he asked, "Kama lo Navi Yisrael?" And that's what the Navi comes and he says to Yisrael, "Ami zichron ha'mayatz Balak melech Moav ma'ana oto Bilam be'meor min hashitim ha'gegal man da'at tzidkot Hashem." Right? What does that mean? My nation. You have to remember what Balak melech Moav wanted to do, and what Bilam and Beor wanted answered until to know that tzidkot Hashem. What does it mean that tzidkot Hashem? You should know. You don't know how much chesed I did with you, how much tzedakah I did with you. Why? I didn't get angry at the entire time during the time of Bilam HaRasha. Why? Because if I would have gotten angry, there would be nothing left of Israel. And that's what he says. Bilam lebalak. How could I curse if Hashem didn't curse? If I didn't get angry. What does that mean? HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not get angry at them. Hashem did not get angry. If Hashem would have gotten angry, he knew the exact moment when Hashem is angry. It's one split second of the day. Oh. So therefore, he would have just destroyed them in 1 second. All you had to say, there's a whole Tosfot there. What could he have said? Right? Oh, we're going to say it right now. Says the Gemara. What does that mean that Kadosh Baruch Hu gets angry every single day? Tama Zamo. How much does he get angry? He says Zamo is rega. 1 moment. שנאמר כי רגע באפו חיים ברצונו. איבאיתי מהלך לחמים בו בחדרך וזכורת ילדיך בעדיך חבי כמעט רגע עד יעבור זמן. Wait 1 רגע until the zam is going to go by. So he says, okay, when does he get angry? So he gets angry for 1 moment. But when? בתלת שעה קמייתא, in the first 3 hours of the day. כי חברה קרבלתא דתרנגולה, when the karbolet of the tarnegol becomes white. Meaning, the tarnegol, he has the crest, I think it's called, no? Okay, so crest, the carbolet, right? The crest, I think it's called crest. So that part on the top, when it becomes less red, it becomes more whitened. That's when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to get angry. So he says, what are you talking about? Kol shata v'shata. It also becomes like that all the time. He says, no. Kol shata v'shata suryaka sumke. When it becomes like that all the time, it still has like red lines, like red, He says, Hainu shata, ha'i shata, that time, there's nothing. It's mamash, like malbina, the entire thing becomes lavan. Okay, and therefore what happens is that's what he was going to come, and he was going to curse them exactly at that moment. Okay, so says the Gemara, Hahu Mina, right? There the Tosafot says, what could he have said already? If it was the one split, Rega Kememre, what could he have said? So one of them says it's Kalem, which means to destroy them. All you had to say is one word, and he could have destroyed the Jewish nation. So there was a famous story. This is again brought down also in Masechet Berachot. Hahu Mina Davo B'Shvutei Del Rishub Levi. There was a mean that was found in the vicinity of Rishub Levi. That he was getting him very, very angry. One day, so what happens? He takes his tarnagol, he puts it by the bed, and he's just waiting. Why? When it comes that moment, he's going to curse out the mean, and then kaddish. It's a very simple way of getting rid of your problems, right? So kimata ushata nimnem. All of a sudden came that moment, and boom, he was done. So imagine the entire day he's awake, right? This reminds me sometimes of a shiur. The entire day they're awake, all of a sudden, boom, they fall, right? Completely, they're gone. So what happens? Amar, he says, Shema Mina comes out, Lav Orach Ara. It's not Orach Ara, right? That means it's not Derech Eretz to come and to curse the guy out, to kill him. Tichtiv, it says, Gamanosh v'tzadik lo tov. That if he gets punished, it's not good for you. So it's not good for the tzaddik. Afilu mineh, right? Lo ibale lemei marachi. So that means even by minim, it's not good for the tzaddik to get punished. Which means that he said to himself, you know what? It's a sign from the Shemaim that I shouldn't curse him out and get him killed. So Tana Mishmed de Rabbi Meir, B'shah shechama zorachat. You know when that moment is when the kings are getting up and all of a sudden they put the crowns on their heads and then they bow down. And that's when HaKadosh Baruch Hu immediately comes and he gets angry. Now we learned Mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. Ahava mevatelet shura shel gdula. Ahava, right, comes and it actually ruins a lot of things also. Where do we learn that? Avram Avinu says, why? What does that mean? He had so much ahava for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he did it himself. He didn't wait for somebody else to do it for him. Because no matter how much money he had, he settled his donkey himself. Sina also is mevatel shel gdula. Says also Sina does the same thing. Which means that again he could have gone on anybody to do it for him, right? Especially he's got a lot of workers, this, that. He did it himself. Because Sina and ahava are two things that they come and they adasof. That means mamash. A person has ahava, he goes adasof. The same thing with Sina. Amar Rav Yudah Rav says Rav Yudah Rav. L'olam yasok adam b'torah v'mitzvah afilu shelo lishma. Shemitoch shelo lishma ba lishma. A person should always learn Torah and do mitzvot, even if it's not going to be lishma. So because shelo lishma ba lishma. Shebitzchar 42 korbanos shekriv Balak. At the end of the day, Balak kept on bringing seven. He kept on bringing a whole bunch of korbanot. Yeah, so he says bischut the 42 korbanot that he brought. He says each of the three places, right? He comes and he brought shiva mizbechot, and each, right, in each of the three places, right? And on every single mizbeach he brought parva'il. So it comes out that it's going to be 42. Yeah. So he comes and he says because it's 3 times 7 is 21 times 2. Again, 3 different places. In 3 different places he built shiva mizbechot, and on every mizbeach he brought parva'il. So therefore it's double. So if it's 3 times 7, 3 different places, 7 mizbechot, each one is 21. And in every single mizbeach, he brought 2 korbanot parva'il, so it's 42. So he says, bischut, bischar, 42 korbanot shekriv Balak, zachav yatzem menu root. Right? That's why he had root. The Amar Rabbi Yosef bar Huna, root was bito shel Eglon, ben beno shel Balak, melech Moav hayta. Okay? Fine. So that means because of that. So imagine, mamash, look at an incredible concept that because he did it shelo l'shem shamayim, but at the end of the day he still brought korbanot, he was going to come out root, right? And then from root was going to come out what? He wanted to curse Bnei Yisrael. He wanted to curse Bnei Yisrael. ודאי. למה הוא קריא קורבנות? זה בלעם. זה בלק ובלעם. לא, זה בלק. בלק עשה את זה עם בלעם. When they came, exactly, so the curse should work. So the curse of Bilam should work. Bilam comes and he says, you have to build the mizbachot. Yeah. Yes, he was the employee. Amale Rava le Rabba bar Mari. So says Rava to Rabba bar Mari. Ktiv it's written, Yetev Elohim et Shem Shlomo mishimcha v'gadel kisecha mikisecha. Or echad alamim lemalka achi. He says what? Is it normal to say that to a king? Right? To say to a king that, it's an embarrassment. What are you coming and saying? Right? Well, this is the time when they made Shlomo Melech, right? The king. So they went and they said, Yetev Elohim et Shem Shlomo mishimcha v'gadel, meaning that Shlomo Melech should be much greater than you. So that's what you tell a king? Imagine you have a king. You say, he should be much greater than you. It's an embarrassment. He says, Amale, he comes and he says, Me'en kamrale. They went and they told him, right? So he says, what does that mean? It wasn't more than your name. Yoter mikiso means me'en shem David. Me'en, it's like it. Not that it should be more than it. If not, you're going to say, Tevorach minashim yael ve'eshet chever akinim minashim ba'ol tevorach. Nashim ba'ol meninu, who's the nashim ba'ol? Saradik rachev leah. So, orachara lemema achi, are you going to tell me that they're greater? It's like it, meaning when we say Tivorach minashim yael eshet chaverakim minashim ba'ohel, it doesn't mean that she's greater than the nashim ba'ohel. Who are the nashim ba'ohel? Sarah, Rivka, remember, Sarah was in the ohel, right? Rivka was in the ohel. Rachel and the Leah was the ohel, right? It's not that it's greater; it's the same thing. Now this argues, obviously, right, to pliga, but this argues on Rabbi Yosef bar Choni. Why does it argue to Rabbi Yosef bar Choni? Everyone, a person becomes jealous in everybody except for his son and his student. He says, why? Beno, this is, again, it's a machloket. This is Shitat Rabbi Yosef bar Choni. The other one is Rabba bar Mari. Right? There's a machloket. So he says, Rabbi Yosef bar Choni comes, he says, everyone gets jealous of everyone except for his student or his son from Shlomo Melech. That's a proof. The fact that they went and they gave him a bracha, that Shlomo should be greater than you, and he wasn't upset. Why wasn't he upset? Because he's not jealous about that. The opposite. He wants him to be greater. That's another thing. You could always bless your child that, but if somebody else is coming and telling you that, it's a chutzpah. So he's saying, Talmido. Talmido, we're going to learn it from the two different places. Number one, that's what I told you before about Elisha Navi and Eliyahu Navi. Eliyahu Navi came, right, and he was not mekaneh, right, to his student, because he actually said that Elisha was going to do double than what he did. If you want, you can answer. When Moshe Rabbeinu came and he put his two hands on Yoshua bin Nun, so that's a proof that a person is not going to be jealous of his own student. So again, right, HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and he puts things in the mouth of Bilam. Rabbi Elazar says, Malach, what does that mean? HaKadosh Baruch Hu put him a malach in order that he shouldn't let him to curse. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Chaka. Chaka is like a vav, chad, which is basically, like the hooks that they use for the fish to trap the fish. So he put it into the mouth, so Kilu stopping him from doing any cursings, right? So he comes now and he says, right, as follows. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, from the berachot though, you know what he wanted to curse. Meaning when the guy was already coming and saying beracha, he already understood what was the curse. Bikesh lomar, he wanted that they shouldn't have bateknes yod midrashot. Why? Because he comes and he says, Matovu alecha Yaakov, right? Meaning, from the fact that they became a beracha, you know that what was a kalala. He wanted that they shouldn't have been right to midrashot. So he comes to Matovu alecha Yaakov. Shelot shchina alehem. He wanted that they should not have right shchina mishkenotecha Yisrael. So therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us a shchina again, because since it became the bracha, you knew what the kalala was. Lote malchutan imshechet. He didn't want that they should have a long malchut. That they should have malchut, which is going to take a long time. It should prolong a long malchut, a long reign of kings. Lo yezetim ukrami, that they shouldn't have vineyards and olives and the olives. Keganot alenar. Shelo yerechan nodef, that they shouldn't be full of mitzvot. Ka'alim nata Hashem, but they should be like a bosem. It should be like of how do you call this? Of fragrances, right? Shelo yelem malachim ba'alei koma, that they shouldn't have good kings. Ka'arazim alemayim, that they should have the arazim, which are the kings. They should be by water, which means they should always be with the Torah. Shelo yelem melech bemelech, they should never have one king after another king, meaning that they're always going to be fighting with each other to kill each other. So it's never going to be a kingdom which is going from father to son to son to son to like continue going. What does that mean? The water should come from its bucket, which means that it should always continue going down. They shouldn't be kings over the other nations. That their children should be Maim Rabim in the other nations. That it should not be Azam al Chutan, Yerome Agag Malko. So again, Melech Yisrael is going to be Takif even more than Agag Melech Hamalek. Lote Emat Malchutan, the people shouldn't be afraid of them. So So again, from all the curses, you already know. Sorry, from all the brachot, you know the curses, right? So Amar Rabbi Abba bar Kana says Rabbi Abba bar Kana, Kulam chazur l'klala. At the end, all of them became a klala, except for Batei Knesiot v'Batei Midrashot that was not nifsat. שנאמר ויהפוך השם אלוקיך לך את הקללה ולך כברך השם אלוקיך קללה ולא קללות. So it's mashma that it was only going to be one klala and not klalot, which means that at the end it did go back to the klalot, right? Because when we're not following in the ways of Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu turned it back to the klalot. There was only one thing that didn't turn out to the klalot, which is the one of the Batei Knesiot, right, and the Batei Midrashot. Even though if you do remember, right, we did bring down, and Rabbi Friend brought down the name of, I don't remember who it was, that this also turned into a klala. Because the fact that we have so many Batei Knesset or Batei Midrashot, and we're not all in one Bet Knesset and one Bet Midrash, that in itself is already a klala. Which one? 1 second, I have to let me. So Amar Rabbi Ishmael bar Nachmani Rabbi Yonatan says Rabbi Nachmani Rabbi Yonatan. My dictate. What does it mean in the pasuk? Ne'emanim pitzeh ohev v'nataron neshikot soneh. What does it mean? The makot that a person gets me'avo are very, very ne'eman to him. They're very beloved to him because for sure he wanted the good, right? So therefore he's going to fix his ma'asim. But the neshikot of the soneh are also going to be because be'emet he knows that the kisses of the enemy is be'emet for his bad. So what does that mean? Tova klala shekilel achia shiloni Yisrael. It was better the klala that achia shiloni came and he cursed Yisrael yoter mibirkot birkat bilam rasha, more than the brachot of bilam rasha. Achia shiloni kilel Yisrael bekaneh. He cursed them with the kaneh. Shneimar v'ikat Yisrael kasher yanu the kaneh b'mayim, right, which is giving a hint to do the kaneh, the reeds. Ma kaneh ze omed b'mkom mayim, just like the kaneh is going to be in water. V'gizo machlif, and the geza is going to come. The gizo is the shorashim rubim. It's got a lot of the shorashim. Vafilu kol ruchot shebaolam ba'od neshvot v'mizilot oto mekod. They're not going to move it from its place. Elo olech b'mayim, it's going to go with him. Kevan shedom ruchot. Once it stops, amad kaneh b'mkomo, it stops. Aval bilam arasha bircham be'erez. He blessed him with an erez. Just like the erez, it doesn't stay in the place of water. Right? V'sharasham muativ. It has very, very few shorashim. Ve'en gizo machlif. It doesn't renew itself. It doesn't rejuvenate itself. Afilu kol ruchot shebaolam neshvot bo. It doesn't move it. But once you have a very strong wind, it takes it, it destroys it. He told So we were actually zocheh that at the end of the day, right, meaning even though they were cursed with the kaneh was zocheh to come and to give us that. How do we write Sifrei Torah Nevim Uktuvim with a kaneh? So that in itself is already going to be